You can use sensory stories to build connections between communities, cultures, faith groups, groups of people, anything. And it's the story quality here that's really valuable. There is something, I want to say magical, because it feels magical to me, but it's there in the research. It's a research informed statement that I'm going to make, but it's magic. It's clearly magic. There's something magical about sharing a story with somebody. When you share a story with somebody, it's different from if you were just having a chat about something you've done or giving instructions. There's a quality that is story, the being in a storytelling space. And when you share stories with people, you feel more connected to them, you feel more bonded. You'll have had that experience going to the cinema. When you go to the cinema, when you walk in, you're a collection of strangers, but as you walk out, there is a sense of community amongst the people who have just shared in the same story. You are all now the people who have just had that story told to them. And if you are a member of a particular community or culture or faith group, there's a bank of stories that are your heritage in those spaces. You've got all the religious stories from the different faith traditions. You've got stories that belong to particular cultures, particular countries, particular groups. If you've been round to a friend's house and they're telling you the story about, oh, I don't know, the Christmas that Grandpa sat on the cat and how funny it was when Grandpa sat on the cat, and you're sort of there going, okay, sounds funny. Someone will say to you, oh, I guess you had to be there. And you do, because if you're not a part of these stories, you feel left out. And so finding a way to create a sensory version of these banks of stories that belong to particular communities and cultures is a really lovely way of involving people, reaching out to people, recognizing people as part of the groups that they belong to. And there's another way in which sensory stories and the sharing of sensory stories can build connection and community, and that's by sharing your own story. So if I tell you a story about me, the story I always tell is that I grew up on a boat. If I tell you I grew up on a concrete boat at sea and that my childhood memories are rowing ashore to beaches you can't get to from land and seeing dolphins playing in the bow wave of the boat and things like that, you have more of a sense of who I am. We're a little bit more connected now because I told you a story about me. And when we make friends with people, we do it through telling stories. We tell a bunch of stories about ourselves, we listen to their stories about themselves, and that sharing of stories is a part of how we create connections. It's a part of community cohesion. And so if you create sensory stories about the people that you're supporting, about the communities that you're a part of, and then look to share them somewhere else, share them with other people, publish them in your local newspaper, you create that connection and bonding. And so sensory stories are a lovely way to support belonging within communities and friendships and social groups.